Good morning, everybody. How is everybody today? You doing good? Doing good, that's good. If you don't know me, my name is Axel. I'm the children's director here at New Life Church. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to Pastor Jason, to Pastor Jake, and to all of you for letting me speak, and also for setting the bar so high so that I have to try really hard to reach that. I appreciate it, but also, did you have to set it that high? I guess. But again, thank you so much. We just had Mega Sports Camp. And before I get into my message, I want to let you guys know that we had our Chicago missions trip a couple weeks ago. I wasn't able to get any of the girls up here who went, but I do want to let you know that it was amazing, and there are some amazing stories from Chicago. I know that we had VBS, and I know that we loved VBS. If the girls were up here, they'd tell you how much they enjoyed hanging out with the children and how much they enjoyed the grill outs and meeting people. I enjoyed going into the communities and seeing a place where you see on the news the south side of Chicago. You're like, it's the south side of Chicago. They talk about the crime. They talk about the poverty. But what I saw was people's homes and places where they lived, and that was a really cool place. And there's also a story that I want to tell you a little bit later about one of our VBS sites. It involves a coloring book, kind of like this one, a raggedy old coloring book. And it's a story that I'm going to get into a little bit later, but it kind of goes well with what we're talking about today. We're talking about Mega Sports Camp, and we just had an amazing weekend at Mega Sports Camp. Are any of you here who are at Mega Sports Camp or had children at Mega Sports Camp? Good job, guys. It was an awesome weekend. I was so thankful for it, and I just want to bring some of Mega Sports Camp to today. And you guys are probably looking at me thinking, a kids lesson to big church? Why are you bringing a kids lesson to big church? Can't we learn something more adult-like? And yes, I guess you're kind of right. But at the same time, I think some of the most valuable lessons that we can learn are lessons that we already learned when we were younger. So much of the time we go about our lives and we look for things that we look for advice that we think is going to fix our problem. We think that there's this one piece of advice that we have to learn. And if we can learn that one advice, then all of our problems are fixed. But what I found in my life is that it's often me relearning things that I already knew. It's often things that I've learned as a kid, like I've learned them tens, if not hundreds of times, and I just forget them. So I'm going to go back, and we're going to learn a kid's lesson today. You guys ready? Yeah. You ready? All right, so look at the person next to you and say, welcome to Big Church. Because that's what we call this in Kids Zone. We call this Big Church. So look at the person next to you and say, welcome to Big Church. Welcome to Big Church. Y'all are stepping up in the world, moving into Big Church. So Ecclesiastes 1:9 says that what has been will be again, and what has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. This verse can be kind of depressing, but it can also be inspiring because we learn that we're going to be okay no matter what, and also the lessons that we learned before, they're going to come up again, all right? So the verse that we've been learning in Mega Sports Camp for the past weekend is 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. We're all going to say it together, and then we're going to say it with some movements, all right, guys? You ready? So first, we're just going to say it. Is everyone ready? Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. All right, you guys did a really good job, man. Y'all are up there with the kids at Mega Sports Camp. I mean, I feel like they were a little bit louder, but your guys are a little bit clearer, so this is good. Now we're going to say it, and we're going to do the actions that we did at Mega Sports Camp, all right? So, you ready? You ready? So it goes, therefore, do not let anyone think less of you because you are young, but instead set an example for believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Man, you guys did a really good job. Now, when you did that, was that uncomfortable for any of you? Did you look at the person next to you and were like, are they doing it? Should I, I don't want to do this. Was that uncomfortable for anybody? No, not at all. Y'all I got this down. I'm confident, okay? Now, it would be a little bit uncomfortable for me to do that with people around me. So good job, guys. You did a really good job. But So the first part of my message, or the title of it, is Find Your Inner Child, all right? So I want you guys, I'm going to challenge you to, instead of grow up, instead of be more adult-like, I want to challenge you to be more of a child today. Do you guys think you can be more of a child today? Yeah. Woo! That's right. I like that. You should be in kids ministry. Wait, you are. That's crazy. So I'm just going to break down this verse, and then we're going to go through it. Are you guys ready? You're ready. Let's do this. So the first part of this verse says, therefore, do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. All right, so I have 3 ways that we can be young today. The first is that, are you young in heart? So much of the time we go throughout our lives, and there's certain things like a sunset or maybe a good meal that bring us joy. But instead of letting ourselves feel that joy of the small thing, like a child would when they first see something or taste something, instead of doing that, we decide to shut ourselves down and say, I can't enjoy this thing because, let's be honest, it's just too simple. Like, my life is too good. Like, my life is too advanced. I have too much things going on to enjoy something as simple as a good meal, or as simple as letting someone smile as I go on for a walk make my day. Does that happen to any of you guys? So I want to challenge you guys. Instead of stopping yourself from feeling that joy, let yourself feel the joy. Let yourself enjoy the little things like a child would. When I see a toddler running around and they find a leaf and they're just looking at this leaf and they're like, oh my goodness, this is the coolest thing ever. There's not a thought that goes through their mind that says, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm too adult-like. I have school tomorrow. I can't be seen looking at a leaf. But we do that, and I think that God made the world beautiful so that we could marvel in it. So when we decide not to marvel in it, are we doing God a favor, or are we just ignoring what he made for us? And the second thing about being young in heart is, so much of the time, we let the world take away our childlike faith in God. When a child comes to this world, they know that they have to trust their parents to take care of them. And we have to be the same way with our faith with God, because if we don't, if we start worrying about, do I have a good enough job? Or do I drive a nice enough car? Or is my house big enough? When we start worrying about those things, we take our focus off of God, and then we start focusing on these things. But when a child is young, they're not focused on what they have. Oftentimes, they're focused on just being. And when we're able to just be and have faith in God, it changes everything, and it makes our lives so much better, so much simpler. So I want to challenge you. If there's ways that you're comparing yourself to others, you don't have to do that, because God's got you. The second thing is being young in mind. I want to challenge you guys to be young in mind. When you're a child, you come into this world, a little baby, they know that they don't know a single thing, right? And they want to learn everything. They watch people. They see what other people do to know how they should respond to a situation. They roll around on the ground. They eat dirt and socks. And I'm like, I don't know why they're eating dirt and socks, but I feel like that's a thing that they do. And like, I'm not telling you guys to eat dirt and socks. Like, that's not good. But maintain that childlike, that wonder and that want to learn. You should want to learn new things. When someone's talking to you and they have something that they just learned and they want to share it with you, even if you think that it's boring or you think you might already know everything about it, instead of going through that conversation and just planning out what you're going to say next, come at it with genuine curiosity, because you might learn something that you didn't even know before. And the next thing, so you're a child and you want to learn, and I have a quote from somebody who most people consider to be pretty smart, all right? It's from Socrates himself, and it says, true knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing. When you have the humility of a child to admit that you don't know anything, there's no ego that you have to protect. You can truly understand that I know nothing, and that's okay, because God's going to teach me what I need to know. And the last thing that I want to go about on this first part is that if you are actually young, if you are physically young in body, don't let the world look down on you. We just literally quoted the verse, but literally, don't let the world look down on you. Don't just skip over this part. If you're young and you feel called to start a Bible study or serve in church, don't let anyone tell you that you're not supposed to because you're young. So much of the time, like, the world tells us that we can't start taking things seriously until we get older. We keep looking at milestones. Like, when we're 9 years old, we're like, man, I want to be 13, because 13-year-olds, they're cool. When we're 13, we're like, I want to be 16, because 16-year-olds, they can drive. When we're 16, we're like, man, 16's okay, but if I was 18, then I could start taking my life seriously, and people would think that I was an adult. And then when we're 18, what's the next thing? We want to be 21, because that's when you really become an adult. And then we're 21, and we're not doing anything because I'm going to wait till after I graduate college, and then I'm going to start taking my life seriously. Maybe then I'm going to start taking my faith seriously. Because let's be honest, the world doesn't expect anything of me until I'm older. But I want to challenge you, if you are young, take yourself seriously. Take your faith seriously. It's never too early to start having a passion for something, all right? And now let's move into the next part of this verse. The next part of this verse tells us how to live. What did it say? Does anyone know? It says, set an example, right? We're supposed to set an example. We're supposed to set an example in our speech. So should we talk like an adult or talk like a child? Let me ask you a question. When you walk into a movie theater and you see there's a movie and there's some coarse language or some bad language in it, what do they call that language? Adult language. They call it adult language. Is adult language something we should really be like, should it be called adult language? We're kind of taught when we're children that like our whole life is leading up to this thing called adulthood. And then that's peak life right there. Once we're an adult, that's where we should be. That's when we know everything. But why is the lowest form of language, some of the language that makes you feel the worst is adult language? So I want to challenge you. Don't speak like an adult. That's not how you show other believers how to behave, by speaking like an adult, okay? Instead, speak like a child. And I want to make a distinction here. There's a difference between speaking childlike and speaking childish. If you're speaking in a childish way, that's like the annoying kid who's always loud, the speech is self-centered. It wants attention. It's saying, look at me. But if you're speaking childlike, you should be humble, because you know that you are just a child. No matter how old you are, no matter what you've been through, you are still just a child. Because let me tell you something. We have a God who existed forever. So even if you're in this room and you're 95 years old, you're still a child compared to him. You're still just a toddler. So when we speak like a child, we speak with the humility of knowing that I don't know everything. We want to learn. We should be a child who wants to learn from others. So when others are speaking to us, we should be quiet and we should be wanting to learn. We should be humble and wanting to learn. That is how we speak, and with an example to other believers. If you get stressed in conversations and you don't like conversations, I'm going to drop a nugget of truth for you guys. Instead of putting the pressure on yourself to talk, just listen to what the other person has to say. And they'll come out of that conversation and they'll say, man, that person was so interesting because they let me talk, even though you didn't do anything. You just listened. So that's how we set an example in speech. What's next? Conduct, that's right. In the way that we live. We have to set an example for other believers in the way that we live. Oftentimes, we think that we're adults, so we think we're above our childish ways. We think that we're above our human nature because we're adults. When we're children, and if you put two children in a room, I've seen this happen. The disposition of the room doesn't rise to the most well-behaved child. What happens is it usually falls to the least behaved child. You have loud Jimmy and well-behaved Timmy, it's dropping to Jimmy's level, all right? Every time. I'm like, Jimmy, what are you doing? This kid was good until he started hanging out with you. All right? And we think, as adults, we think that we're above that. We think just because I'm an adult, I can hang out with anyone I want. I can watch anything that I want. I can let all these things of the world pour into me, and I'm still going to keep my godly nature. And then what happens is we wonder why it's so hard to live a Christian life and the reason is because we've been hanging out with all the people who put bad things into our lives. And we've been hanging out with we've been consuming all this content that says that puts God last. And then we wonder, why is it so hard to be a Christian? Why is it so hard to live a Christian life? It's because you're putting the wrong things in. But when you put the right things in, when you spend more time, when a child spends more time with the friend that builds them up, when you spend more time with your Bible, when you spend more time in prayer, when you spend more time with Christian friends, you don't have to force yourself to live a more godly life. You just do, because that just happens. So before you can be an example in the way that you live, you have to hang out with people who are an example in the way that they live, and you have to spend more time with God than you do with the things that bring you down. The third thing was love. We got to set an example in the way that we love. And love is it's a word that almost means everything, and it means nothing. There's a worldly definition of love, like, oh, I love ice cream. Man, I love cake. I love ice cream. There's also a worldly definition of love, like if you watch a movie, and it's all about how it makes me feel. And it's all about, it's easy. That's the biggest thing, is love is easy when you watch a movie. It's like, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel full. And I don't have to do anything for it. But I think love should be one of the hardest things that we ever do. To say that, like, you love somebody should be one of the hardest things that you ever do. Because in 1 Corinthians verse 13, verse 4 through 7, we get a whole list of what love is. And I want to read through this list. And I want to ask you guys, are these things that seem easy, or are these things that seem hard? The first one, it says, love does not dishonor others. Or that's not right. I skipped to the middle of the verse. The first thing is, love is patient. Is it easy to be patient with somebody when they just don't want to listen? They're just pushing all your buttons. Is it easy to be patient? No, it's not easy to be patient. Love is kind. Is it easy to be kind when somebody disrespects you and they don't deserve it? No. Love does not envy. Is it easy to celebrate someone else's win and not think of yourself at all in that? Is it easy just to say, I am happy for you, truly, and there's no part of me that wants that for myself? It's not easy for me. It does not boast. Is it easy to keep your mouth shut when you genuinely did something so amazing that the whole world should know? Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Love is not proud. Is it easy to be humble? Some of you might be in here and you might say, it's really easy for me to be humble. I'm a really, really humble person. Those people are probably like me, but here's something that I learned about humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. If you're the kind of person who receives a compliment and says, no, that's not me, I appreciate that, but that's not me, that's not being humble. Being humble would be accepting that compliment, saying thank you for it, really trusting the person that gave the compliment. So is that easy when you get a compliment to accept it? It's not easy for me. It does not dishonor others. Let me ask you a question. Is it easy when you're in a room with all your friends and they start talking about this other friend who did this thing that was horrible, and they start talking bad about this other friend? Is it easy to say, hold up, I'm not going to talk about that behind their back? No, it's not easy. The easy thing to do would be, yeah, how could they possibly do that? This person's horrible. Love is not self-seeking. Is it easy to genuinely put someone else's needs before your own every single time? No. It's not easily angered. Is it easy to keep your cool when someone is just pushing all your buttons and wants to get you angry? No, it's not. It keeps no record of wrongs. Is it easy to genuinely forgive somebody? No, it's not easy to genuinely forgive somebody. Is it easy to not, or love always delights in evil and rejoices in the truth? It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Is it easy to always trust, always hope and always persevere? I'm going to say for me, I know it's not, because there's days when I think everything is going to the trash, and I'm like, there's no way I don't have any hope left. Is it easy? No. So when we live in an example of love, love is one of the hardest things that we could ever do, but it's the thing that is the most worth it in the end. So we have to have an example of love that is all of these things, that is hard, that's something we kind of don't want to do. But we know that God first loved us, so we're going to love others. Next thing is that we need to be an example in our, what is this? Our faith. That's right. We have to be an example in our faith. A child has to trust their parents when they're young. They have no other choice. What's the nicest, most well-equipped place you could think of? Like a 5-star hotel, something like that. Come on. Disney. Like the nicest place. We got Disney. If I drop a child in Disney, even if it's their favorite place ever, and I'm talking like a child under the age of 3, if I drop them there and I say, dude, you're going to love this, if they don't have a guardian or someone to take care of them, I guarantee you bad things will happen. I guarantee you bad things will happen. And we think that when we're adults, we're above that. We think that, oh, just because I'm an adult, I don't need someone to take care of me. I don't need God to watch over me. But that is not true at all. Now, the trouble is with kids is when they get older, we start kind of distrusting our parents. We're like, do I really need my parents? Should I really not do this thing? Like, maybe I should go over here and do this thing, and they're probably just wrong. They just don't want me to have fun, right? And then all of a sudden, how many of you know that's when you start to get hurt? That's when bad things start to happen. And you're like, oh man, they were right. Gosh dang it, why was that true? So in your faith, don't be a teenager with God. Don't say, did you really mean that I shouldn't go out and get blasted drunk on the weekend? Don't say, did you really mean I shouldn't do those things? Instead, trust him. Trust him like a child, because let me tell you, he existed since the beginning of the universe, so I think he knows what's best for us. And the last one, your purity. And this is about you. This is about remaining pure in yourself. I want to challenge you guys to remain pure in yourself. What you put in your life is what comes out. How many of you guys, parents, you probably would understand this. If you have a child, or when I was younger, I had a neighbor that I'd hang out with sometimes. And when I'd go over to my neighbor's house, we'd hang out. He wasn't the most well-behaved. He was a little bit of a bully. He was pushing the limits. And I'd get home after that, and my mom said, were you hanging out with Brendan today? I can tell because you're acting kind of like Brendan. And in the same way, what we put into our lives affects our lives, like we talked about earlier. If you're a Christian today, but the things that you consume are if you only consume, let's say, atheistic content, I guarantee you in 5 years, if you haven't left the faith, you're going to have some questions. You're going to be like, is this really real? Is this really for me? What you put in affects your faith. So when you put in, when you read your Bible, when you come to church, when you serve, when you pray, that's you putting good things in. And when you put good things in, good things come out. And it becomes easy. Your walk with life, you don't have to force your walk with God. It becomes easy. So in your purity, make sure that you're putting in pure things into your life. And don't worry, guys. We're almost done. This is my last part. I just want to go over what we just learned. So the first part, I want you to live in awe of little moments. I have 3 challenges for you. I want you to live in awe of little moments. Let yourself enjoy the little things in your life, even if they feel stupid. Even if you look at yourself and say, why does looking at this leaf and the way it grew and the little veins inside this leaf, why is this interesting to me? Why is this bringing me joy? This shouldn't bring me joy. I have to go to work on Monday. I have to tell people what to do on Monday. I want to challenge you. Let yourself feel that joy. Because denying yourself joy in that meal or that sunset, it's not hurting anyone but yourself. I mean, it's only hurting yourself. When you deny yourself that joy, no one else knows you denied yourself that joy. It's only hurting yourself. So live in awe of little moments. The next thing is I want you to be humble. I want you to remember that you're a child of God, no matter how old you are, which means that you don't know everything, which means that you are going to fail. You're not going to know what's going on sometimes, but that's okay because you're a child of God. God cares for you. He's with you no matter what, and he loves you. And now I want to go back to this coloring book, okay? I want you to be humble. When I was in Chicago, we set up a VBS site. It was on 66th and Justine. It's a neighborhood in the south side of Chicago. There's houses, there's families there. We walked around, we invited families, we invited kids. We were about halfway through our VBS. We were teaching these children. There was this girl who brought her kids. She was about 22 years old, and she had her boyfriend with her. This boyfriend, he had dreadlocks, tattoos all over his face. He had an ankle monitor. He was the kind of person that you look at and you'd say, this guy has seen more life in the last month than I probably have in my whole life. He's been through more hard things than I've ever been through. This kind of person you'd think is probably pretty calloused. Midway through the VBS, he gets out of his car with his girlfriend, and they walk over to our VBS site. I'm thinking, are we in trouble? Did we say something wrong? What's going on? He talks to one of the other helpers that we had there. Then he sits down about 10 feet away from where all the kids were learning, and he picks up a coloring book. And him and his girlfriend start coloring in a coloring book. Again, this is a man who has seen so much, probably hurt in his life. It's a man who should be grizzled in a coloring book. But instead, I saw him sit down and start coloring in a coloring book like a child. And I thought to myself, if someone like that can have the humility and the childlike instinct to just go and sit and color in a coloring book, why can't I? Why am I so much more adult-like that I can't take joy in little things like a coloring book, like a raggedy old coloring book with pages falling out? The last thing is that I want you to trust God to take care of you. Remember, a child has to trust their parents to take care of them, or else they're not going to make it in life. They just won't. We're all children of God, and without God, we cannot make it in life, no matter how hard we try, no matter how together we have our lives. We can't do it without God, just like a 3-year-old can't make it alone in Disney without someone watching over them. We call it growing up, but sometimes, instead of growing up, we're just growing numb. And all we need to do is have simple, childlike obedience. I'm going to leave you with a quote from C.S. Lewis. So when I was 10, I read fairy tales in secret, and I would have been ashamed if anyone had found me doing so. Now that I'm 50, I read them openly. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. So today, I want you to grow up and put away the fear of being childish. Put away the fear of accepting that you are a child of God and you don't know anything, and we have to trust God. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to close out our service. Lord, I thank you. I thank you that you are trustworthy, that you are a good Father, you're kind, I pray that you would help us, like children, to trust you, to know you, to have faith in you, to know that even when our lives feel like they're falling apart and like there's nothing left, to have hope in you. Help us this week to find childish joy in the things that you made for us. Help us this week to set an example for others. Help us to set an example in the way that we speak to others. Help us to lift others up. Help us to set an example in the way that we live, in the way that we love, in our faith, and in our purity. If you're here and you're tired of the stress of adult life, you're tired of worrying about everything, you're tired of trying to keep all the circus plates spinning at once, and you're saying, man, I just want to be a child again. I want you to know that God created you to be a child. He didn't create you to spin all these circus plates. He created you to be a child and to trust him. So with everyone closing your eyes and bowing your heads, if you're here today and you're ready to stop being an adult and trying to figure everything out on your own, and you want to come into God's household and be his child for the first time, I want you to raise your hand. And I want everyone to pray this prayer with me. As we always say, this prayer doesn't mean anything. It's just words, unless you speak it from your heart. So Jesus, I admit that I have sinned, and I have fallen short of your plans for me. But I confess my sin to you, and I accept your forgiveness. I ask you to be the Lord and the Savior of my life. Amen.